Grandmother Nneka-Okoro, the warrior for girls' education in Amono village. The first day I stepped into a school classroom, I was 12 years old. And I wouldn't have been there if not for the action of my grandmother, Nneka-Okoro. My name is Adanna Okoro. I was born in Amono village. This story is in appreciation and remembrance of my grandmother. Nneka-Okoro. I am happy to tell this story because my grandmother gave us girls, particularly me, Adanna, what my village male elders had wanted to deny me. In our village, Amono, girls were just expected to help out at home, get married, and that's it. My dad passed away when I was really young, so it was only me, my mom, and my grandmother. I was fine with that, until I saw the boys in our village going to school every morning, laughing and learning new things I could only dream of. One day, I asked my Uncle John Okoro if I could join them. He shook his head and laughed, saying, "School isn't for girls, Adanna. Your place is at home." That answer just made me feel small and angry, but my grandmother, Nneka, well, she got angry at what John said. She waited until the next morning and then walked straight to my Uncle John's house, standing outside in the early hours, waiting. When he finally came out, she didn't argue or yell. She just said, "Adanna will go to school. She's as smart as any boy in this village." Uncle John told her no. The family elders would never allow it, that was just the way it was. But my grandmother was tough. Instead of backing down, she started going door to door, talking to the women in our village. "How many of you have daughters at home?" she'd ask them. Some would ignore her, others listened, and a few even shut the door in her face. But she kept going, visiting every home, from the big houses down to the small ones. By the end of the week, there was a group of women ready to stand with her. They all marched together to the village elders' meeting, where only men usually went. This was something nobody had ever seen in Amono village. The women stood outside, refusing to leave until the elders agreed to hear them. Slowly, the elders started listening. My grandmother Nneka told them that times were changing, that girls could do great things if given the chance. It took weeks of meetings, waiting, and more talking. But eventually, the elders agreed with her suggestions with the support of other women. Both the elders and her fellow women chorused, girls could go to school, at least, those whose parents wanted it. I remember the day my grandmother told me that I can now go to school. She had this huge smile, and I knew I was finally going to join the boys at school. Years later, I went back to Amono, but this time as a teacher. I saw other girls in their uniforms, laughing, holding their books, just like I had dreamed of. My grandmother, now older, stood there watching them with this look of pride on her face. It was because of her that so many of us girls got to learn. She taught me that change can happen anywhere, even in a small village like ours, if you're stubborn enough to believe in it. So here's Nneka, the toughest woman in Amono. She changed our village and gave us all a future. She completed the saying that to train a girl is to train the whole nation.